everybody, welcome to the Paranormal Activity. I'm Sarah.
I'm Nick.
And today we're going to talk about, if it's cool, we could talk about, I want to talk about Exit 8 because I'm interested in this.
I don't know what that is, but I'm excited to hear about it.
Yeah, and so, and in general, I just kind of want to talk about, like, horror video games.
Mm-hmm.
And horror video games that have been turned into movies. Do you have any, is this something that you...
No, I know a little bit about, you brought this up, and there's a fascinating thing that I can kind of open up about with is Resident Evil.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's one of the big horror video games, and I remember playing that when I was a kid. I remember one time, I think it was like on the PS2, and we were in the living room, and it was myself and my brother, and it was like broad daylight, 2 p.m. on a Saturday, and we were in the living room, and he was playing it, and I was watching him. And I think it was Resident Evil 2. And it was so funny because we kept screaming at everything. We kept like jumping and finally, like, and there was one thing where he's like going through, and then all these like crows come in and stuff like that. And we're like, ah, and my mom comes in and she goes, "What the hell's happening?" We're just playing this game. She's like, "What is this game? You guys keep screaming." Like, it's a really scary game. But it's funny because they made it into movies, like the Mila Jovovich movies that have, there's like, what, 7 of them or something? There's a bunch of them. And they kind of did their own thing. They never really followed Resident Evil. They were kind of just like, they just took basic thing, like little simple things, but they didn't follow the story. And then it was interesting because then they made that TV show that got canceled. Then they made that movie.
Right, yeah.
The recent one, Welcome to Raccoon City, that was, it was basically just the first game and the second game, and they combined them, and they just followed exactly the stories. They like really stuck to the story, and that one didn't do too well. And I remember I watched it, and it was kind of
Mm-hmm.
And I read a thing about how like some critics were like, maybe it only works as a game. Maybe it's just not. Yeah. But it's interesting because the guy who did Barbarian and who's doing Weapons, Zach Gregor, he was on The Whitest Kids You Know.
Yeah.
He's making a Resident Evil movie, and I'm very curious to see what that's going to be.
Yeah, that's cool. Resident Evil is not, like, that kind of passed my radar. I'm more like a Silent Hill person.
Oh, okay.
So that's like those are the games. And so I will, before I say anything about video games, I am much more of a watcher than a player. So I'm very much like a companion watcher. So like the Silent Hill, The Room, that my brother played, but I played because I sat next to him through all of it because he couldn't do it alone.
Yeah, no, that's how it was with Resident Evil with my brother. Yeah. That's how a lot of the games, he'd be like, yeah, you can watch. But I was like, yeah, you want me here because you don't want to do this by yourself.
Yeah, right. Yeah. I was like, I'll help with the like the puzzles and stuff. I'll be the puzzle master. And meanwhile, we're just like,
Silent Hills is a scary one. That's a creepy one. That one is very
I mean, I love it so much, and I've always loved Silent Hill, and like it. I mean, and I didn't get to play. I played a lot of. I didn't play all the way through the second one, but I played through a lot of it, and that's like supposed to be the best one. But yeah, and so I watch, and I also like, watching video games is a thing. Twitch is a whole thing. Like, I watch a lot of video games, and that was a lot of my, like, when I worked in an office, Fridays when there was like literally nothing happening, I would just be watching, John Wolfe and different people.
John Wolfe. I found out about him because I had an ex, and she loved to watch him play video games. And so sometimes I would watch too, and I'd be like, this is kind of fun because it's just like you're just watching him go through, and he'd pick like the really interesting ones were like the little indie games that he'd play.
Yeah. That
were just like quick and just like whatever. And they were some that were really interesting.
Yeah. I watched a lot of him. He'll play big games, but he also played a lot of like indie games from Itch.io. And like there was one game he played where there are two stories about John Wolfe. These are not stories. I don't know him as a person, but two things that sort of struck me is he played the Blair Witch game, and at one point you have a dog, and you have to like put the dog, like the dog is sick or something, and you have to like put the dog down. And he's like, I'm carrying the dog. He's like, I'm not going to put the dog down because once I put the dog down, the dog's going to die. He's like, I'm not going to do it. And so this dude playing a video game carried his he's like, I refuse. He's like, I know that that's what's supposed to do, and it triggers, and then the dog disappears, and I lose the dog. And he's like, I refuse. So he made his character carry for 45 minutes, just carry the dog until his character died.
Until it died, yeah. I was like, I'm not getting rid of this dog, yeah.
Which I was like, that's really sweet. Yeah, and then there was just like another game he played where that it was like really, there was something really sad happened. I won't get into it because it's kind of triggery, but he like started crying, and I was like, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Like,
he was a really cool guy to watch because he was very empathetic towards that stuff. And he got scared. He was like, I'm scared of these things, like these, but he played them, and it was very interesting to watch him. Like, Did you see, I think it was him. It was one game, and it was wild. I was like, I can't believe this is a game because it's just real life.
Yeah.
And it was, and because my ex showed it to me, we watched it, and it was a game where you're a woman, and you get into a car with a dude that you don't know. He's like, yeah, you're hitchhiking. He's like, I'll give you. And literally the way that you maneuver the game is you have to keep an eye on him, but you can't be too like, hey, you're creeping me out, but you have to keep an eye on him because it's basically the guy's a creep and he's going to like try to attack you or something.
Yeah.
But the game is you like trying to like keep an eye on him, but not like too much because then he'll like freak out, or if you're not paying it, and you have to like get to your destination. It was such a wild game. I was like, this is just frighteningly real life.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it was one of like, I was like, I can't believe somebody made this into a game. And it was like wild to watch. But I remember that was one that stood out to me.
That's crazy. Did I ever tell you my creepy story about the Lyft driver?
No.
Okay, so we'll get back into stories, but I have to tell you this story because it's relevant.
Yeah.
Like last year, I went home for a party, and I got a lift from the train to my sister's house. And so I get into the lift, and the guy immediately turns around. And he's like, "Hey, how much is Lyft charging you for this?" And I was like, "I don't know, like $27, $28." And he's like, Give me 20 cash. I'll cancel the ride and I'll just drive you there." And I was like, okay. I mean, I get it. I was like, I'm not comfortable with that. If that's okay. Like if it's, I'd rather pay a little extra just to stay on the books or whatever. Mm-hmm. He's like, I'm not going to hurt you. At this point, he's driving. He's like, oh, come on, I'm not going to hurt you. Come on. It's just, and he goes into this diatribe about how like Uber and Lyft, they take out all of these fees, which I'm absolutely sure they do. I'm sure they take out tons of fees. But I was like, it's nothing against you, but like if I cancel the ride, then I'm just in a car with a guy, it's like, and it's on, and that's the thing too, is it's like, you're kind of like, oh, well, how dare you look down on these people who are working for you? You're, oh, look at you, Princess Karen. Like, why don't you, you think everybody's out to get you. And it's like, okay, but then if I did that and something happened to me, it would be my own fault,
Yeah. It'd
so
be like, oh, why'd you do that? Yeah.
I like let go of other people's comfort and just like take care of my own. So I said, no, thank you. Eventually he like stopped talking and just turned the music up really, really loud. So I was like, okay. So we're very close to home. I get to my sister's house. He pulls up in the wrong driveway, which thank God he did. And I go to get out, and the interior handles had been removed.
Wait, what?
I couldn't get out of the car. He was like, oh yeah, somebody broke those off. Hold on a second. And I had to roll down the window and reach out and like get myself out of the car.
Whoa.
That's a horror.
Yeah.
That's scary as hell. Right?
And they were like, were both of them broken off?
Yeah.
Yeah. See, like, maybe, like, either way, it's, none of it is, but, like, for him to be like, okay, one was broken off, and you're like, oh, okay, I'll get out this way. But for both of them, that's like, no, this dude's got a plan.
Yeah.
And where was this?
In Buffalo.
In Buffalo, okay. Because I was saying, you live, you're from upstate. Yeah, and you 100% did the right thing, because you always hear, you hear people tell, like, women especially, 100%, like, when you get into those Ubers or Lyfts, be careful, make sure you're monitoring where you're going, because they'll take you somewhere, and then you get, and that's why, like, the other day I was taking an Uber, and we just were stuck in traffic, and the thing came up, and it was like, you've been paused for a while, are you okay? And I was like, oh yeah, we're just stuck in traffic. And it's a good thing they do that, and that's why you keep yourself on that thing. And then, no, 100%, that's not a Karen move. I think that was, you did the right thing of 100%. No, that's right. When you said that, I was like, no. I would have been like, no, I'm good. Just stay on. Just let's keep it all on the books, like you said.
Yeah.
And both the head, that's creepy. That's creepy.
Yeah. And I think certain people are very prone to being like guilt tripped and like, oh, I'm so sorry. I don't want to hurt your feelings. Like, I'll do whatever you want. And I'm very glad that I didn't. And I'm glad whatever. And I did, like, if anybody cares, I did reach out to Lyft, and I have no way to track it because you have to put it through their app. But I reached out to Lyft and I gave them the whole story, and I never heard anything. So
Yeah.
they definitely complained because there are definitely vulnerable people who he may have absolutely taken. He was a cop too. He was a former cop.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway,
So
sorry.
many red flags. So many red flags. Yeah.
Sorry. So back to less about me. Back to the. So what I wanted to tell you about is Exit 8 is, and I'll drop a little bit of footage in here, or I can show you some a little bit too. It is it's like an indie horror game from a couple of years ago. It's a very simple game. It's about you're in a subway. You're like in subway tunnels, and you're trying to get out of the exit, and you have to find the anomalies, right? So the anomalies are like there's two of the posters are doubled, right? You find the anomaly, and when you see the anomaly, you turn around, you go back the other way, and it's a loop. So it's about escaping the loop, and that's the whole game. That's the whole game is just like finding anomalies, turning around, going back the other way, and you have to find all of the anomalies. It was turned into a movie, and it's premiering at Cannes.
Oh, so it's a new movie that's
Yeah.
okay.
So it's releasing in the U.S. in September. But yeah, it just struck me because it's like a Cannes Film Festival like selection. Unfortunately, the footage I picked was Jacksepticeye, who is like the loudest
Yeah.
person on earth. But I can't get this over. No, I can't.
That's cool that it got to Cannes though.
Yeah. So I'm curious. It's like there aren't a lot of like there aren't a lot of reviews yet, obviously. So this is footage of the game. So you're just walking down a hallway, and this is the whole. I mean, it's the whole thing is trying to. It's like, I guess isolation horror. I think it's like a, loop. You're just looping, and yeah, this guy walks by. You see these things, and it's like you have to figure out what's wrong, or you get like zapped or whatever. Not zapped, but like you don't complete the game, and it gets increasingly more terrifying and spooky. Yeah, and this is the whole thing, right?
This is like a nightmare scenario though. Like, can you imagine just being trapped in like the like almost claustrophobia of it all?
Yeah.
Like just being stuck in that same thing of like a loop. Yeah, I could see this being an interesting film. I could see them turning it into.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of fascinating. I also love like the simplicity of it, and yeah, that was.
Do you
really
know who's behind the film? Like
so
who's
the director? I wrote it down. No, I didn't.
Because I haven't heard anything about this.
Genki Kawamura. Genki Kawamura. Let me just say it 10 more times.
Yeah.
Genki Kawamura out of Japan. Yeah, he's an author and a director, and he wrote the screenplay for it. Yeah, and it's just, I don't know, it just looks really kind of wild. It's an official selection for Cannes.
Is there a trailer for the film?
There is. Let me pull it up.
Ooh, I'd love to see the trailer. It kind of reminded me of like scenes from American Werewolf in London. All the werewolves when the people are trying to get out of the subway. When he's stalking that one woman. Have you ever heard of the movie? It's called Creep. It's not the one that you're thinking of. It's not the Mark Duplass one.
Oh, is that the one? It's in the UK and it's in the subway tunnel?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the other one that it kind of reminds me of, because the woman follows through and then she goes down this like weird rabbit hole of this subway tunnels.
And it shifts to the creep's perspective at some point, which is kind of interesting. Pretty cool, right?
Cool.
That's the whole thing. Yeah.
That looks great. That's cool. Yeah, and I love how they just really were like, we'll just take the game and just have this dude stuck in it, like if you were in the game, and it's really well done.
Yeah.
Because people always talk about just video games in general of adapting them into movies. How for the longest time it was like it never really succeeded. I think like Sonic, which is a recent one, was one of the few that people were like, "Oh, this actually was done well."
Right.
But like Super Mario Brothers, the Resident Evil films, I mean,
Yeah.
a bunch of them, they've always had a hard time adapting video games into movies that were successful.
Hmm.
So, and it seems like it's starting to happen now. Like they're starting to figure it out. I mean, they've been talking about making a Metal Gear Solid movie for forever. They
Yeah.
did Uncharted, which people were kind of like, eh. But this looks very well done, and I think they
Yeah.
just took the simplicity of it and just were like, here's we're just gonna do it straight out.
Yeah, and I think they're starting to kind of take things seriously a little bit, where it's like, it's video games, it's for kids,
Yeah,
slapping around, and a rubber chicken, and now, but it's like actually like let's take things seriously, you know what I mean?
the classic rubber chicken in the video game. I think that character that you did, the studio exec who's doing the,
I'm all coked up and I'm ready to pitch.
hey, come on, hey, let's make this movie, Sam. I mean that's definitely what happened when they made the Super Mario movie. That zany movie. Yeah. That looks really cool though. That looks really good. And like again, back to I'm really curious to see what they do with the new Zach Greger, I believe is his name. I always
Yeah,
forget.
yeah. I think
What he's going to do with the Resident Evil one because Barbarian was so good, Weapons looks really good. We'll see how that turns out, and for him to do a Resident Evil, how they're going to make it. I think the newest one, the reason why I think it got too messed up was that they combined the first and the second one, so there
yeah.
was just a lot going on. And I think they should have just like stuck with like let's do the first one and them in the mansion and just keep it like what it is, and that's what I'm hoping they're going to do with this one.
Well, and I think what makes things like The Last of Us, I think what makes it so powerful is like, yeah, there's amazing action and it's terrifying and it is scary, but it's also like you care about the people and you're creating like good characters that are like have very clear wants and needs and lacks and tight, strong relationships, and you care whether they live or die. I think that's what kind of compels you. It can't just all be like like boobs and
Yeah.
and guns,
Yeah, you can't be like, oh, here, see, rubber chicken,
Yeah.
all that stuff. Did you watch all of the last season of The Last of Us?
Yeah.
You did. Did you like it?
I loved it. I mean, obviously, if you get a couple episodes in, it gets really sad and like,
Yeah.
should I keep watching this? I don't know, but I thought it was amazing. I mean, I feel like the first season is one of like the best seasons of television ever created.
Yeah.
Personally.
Well, I was so. Have you played the games at all or seen the games or okay? So because I haven't, I didn't watch. I know the games and I kind of know what happens and I know a lot of people. And I remember like the first one everybody loved and the second one had a weird discourse of like. People had feelings about it. So I was curious about, and I loved the first season. And the second season, I wasn't thrilled about it. And it wasn't anything like it's not like the people who are like, Bella Ramsey's the worst. And I was like, I think she's great. She's a wonderful actress. She does a good job.
Yeah.
Loved her in Game of Thrones. Love her in this one. She's
Incredible.
amazing.
Yeah.
I have no issues with it's nothing, Abby, Caitlin Denver is Abby. I was like, great. She's amazing. My only issue, and it's not Bella Ramsey. The way they wrote her in this season, and I don't know if that's fully how it was in the game, but I feel like the way they wrote her was just like I didn't like the character. It was she was so selfish,
Yeah.
and got so many people hurt, because of her own thing, and to me that just doesn't make me feel for that protagonist. And usually there's kind of some kind of saving quality, but and again, like I was like, I really like what she's doing with the character, but sometimes I felt like the writing was so forced into her making these terrible decisions that were getting people killed.
Yeah.
And that really bugged me a little bit, and that was my only issue. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like her character was so different from the first, where she was so like innocent and needed to be protected, and then in this one she was very she was really angry, and I feel like, I mean, you could sit and think about like why she feels all that way, and like pushing him away, which is something that some of us do.
Yeah.
But, And yeah,
That episode, that flashback episode was great. When you see, and I was like, oh, I like that we're seeing why she was the way. I was like, that's nice. I'm glad we have that.
yeah.
But then we got back and it was just like, and I was like, I don't mind you being angry. I don't mind you wanting vengeance. That makes
Yeah.
sense. Let's do it. But it was just like, I don't know. I don't know. I kind of blame the writing more than anything.
So I wanted to talk really quick about a couple of like my favorite indie games. Do you play indie games at all?
Not so. I used to be because my friends make fun of me because they're like, "You don't game at all." I used to be a big gamer. I used to love playing video games. I grew up, had all the systems, played with my friends all the time, played a ton in college, and then I moved up here and I slowly stopped, and I just really haven't played games in a
Yeah.
while. But the thing is, whenever I do start to play something, I get, and I think that's why I've kind of forced myself not to, because I get very obsessed. Like I'll just like be like, okay, this is the game, and I'm just gonna, I have to, I get very consumed by it.
Hmm.
So I haven't played a lot of games. I think the most recent thing was I played like Until Dawn. I played like the Until Dawn one, the first one. But no, I haven't played a lot of indie games.
Okay. I well, so I wanted to there are a couple I wanted to highlight that were like things that I liked that I think that I mean things that I've watched, and one that I played. Well, I played two of these, so I would say something that's super interesting is Anatomy. Is a kitty horror show, and I'm really into like the PS1 looking like really old, like those. Obviously, that's like my aesthetic. So there's a game that I watched John Wolfe play called Anatomy, and Kitty Horror Show is the developer, and she made this. It's it's just like it's a game about like a house, but it's like the house is a body.
Mm.
So you have to keep going into this room, and you play a tape, and it plays sort of instructions or information, and then you go throughout the house, and it's really about like going into obviously it's about like trauma and like physical trauma and emotional trauma, and it was really spooky. And I've also been setting myself up to like live, like to just go live every once in a while just for fun on this channel, and I'm gonna try to find it and play it live if I can.
Ooh.
Which might be fun. And then there's Dredge is another one that I really like. I played it on the Switch, and it's a fishing simulator game.
Mm-hmm.
But so you're on like a fishing boat, dredging boat, and I just love like going around and like fishing. Like it's a lot of exploring a world and fishing and then selling your fish. It's very satisfying. But then it's also a cosmic horror. So things become and like if you don't sleep, like you're much more susceptible to these like eldritch horror things, and it increasingly becomes more and more spooky. It is excellent. If you have a Switch and you can get a hold of Dredge, it is excellent.
That sounds incredible.
So good. Yeah.
Dredge. Okay.
I played it. It was really great.
Is it only on the Switch, or is it like, can you get it on Steam, or?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I think you can get it on Steam. Yeah, I think you can get it on Steam. I think you definitely can get it on Steam because I think my brother plays it on that.
Sorry, that was really creepy. I had my TV paused, and then it just like unpaused on its own. And so I started playing, and I was like loud, and I was like, well, I want to turn this off, but I was like, also, how did you unpause yourself?
That's creepy. I hate that.
That's creepy.
Hunted.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. And then I also have to tell everybody to play Murder House because I'm in it.
You're in Murder? It's a video game?
Yeah. So there's a video game called Murder House on I think it's available on Steam. Yeah, and it came out in 2020. It's like an 8-bit not 8-bit. Yeah, it's like a PS1 style horror, and I play the playable character.
Really?
Yeah.
That's awesome. I'm gonna check that
out on Murder House. I'll drop a little thing. And Jacksepticeye is in it too. He has
who?
Jacksepticeye is he's another YouTuber. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway.
I gotta check that out. Murder House and Dredge. Dredge sounds really cool.
Dredge, yeah, definitely look out for Dredge.
I will definitely do that. Yeah.
Awesome.
Because I think, what was that one game I played a while back? Because I did it because a friend told me to, and we did it for this podcast. Was it called Come Home or something? and you go and you're going through your parents' home or something, and it's kind of spooky, but it's not really. There's nothing
Yeah.
really spooky about it. But that was a fun one. I remember I saw John Wolfe play one where you're like a mortician and it's like haunted, and that one scared the shit out of me. That one, I literally freaked out.
Yeah, there's some really, I mean, and that's the thing too, is it's like there are movies where it's like there's like it happens, but then it's like when it's a video game, it's you and you have to walk into that room. You know what I mean?
You have to make the choice to, yeah, it's so true, right? When you're like, okay,
words.
I'm doing this, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. What's this? Do you have like a really scary game? Well, what would be like Silent Hill? Would be the scariest game you played, or?
Yeah, I think Silent Hill would probably be the scariest, and I also like have you heard of Silent Hill PT, the playable test?
No.
So they made like a looping game. It was a playable test for like a looping version of Silent Hill. So you're walking. It's just 4 hallways. Mm-hmm. You're just walking down the 4 hallways and things change. And it was they put out like a 15-minute playable test and everybody played it, and then the developer decided not to make it anymore. There's a lot of lore about what happened there, but but you can still find like a lot of people like playthroughs of it, and it is terrifying. It is terrifying. It is really, really, really scary. It's just called PT, and it's you can find like 15-minute versions of it on YouTube, and it's, I mean, you can just sit and watch it like a horror movie. Like,
is the lore behind it kind of like spooky stuff? Why they didn't make it, or?
No, I think it was just like let me look it up. I'm trying to remember.
It was just like, yeah, development stuff. It just didn't work out. Or, yeah.
I think there was just like PT. What happened?
What happened?
What happened?
Did you see the Silent Hill movie?
Yeah, I think I'm one of the few people who like enjoyed it.
I liked it. I thought it was nuts. I remember because my brother went to go see it before I did, and he was telling me, he was like, yeah, go check it out. He's like, you're gonna like it. And he was telling me the story about how he went into the film and watched it, and the scene with what's his head? Pyramid Head?
Yeah.
They call him Pyramid Head? Where he grabs the one woman and he skins her and he throws it against the church. He said that that scene happened, and like this family stood up and just laughed. And they were like, yeah, you didn't know what this film was, did you? You didn't know what this was.
Thin out the herd, you know what I mean?
Thin out the, exactly. Get out of here. No, I thought it was a lot of fun. I was like, this is nuts. They're just going for it. Yeah.
I love Pyramid Head so much. Somebody showed up at one of the Pit Halloween parties dressed as Pyramid Head, and I never found out who it was. And I was like, please come back someday. I want to be friends with you so bad.
Oh, really? Oh, that's great.
Yeah. This was years ago. It was Konami's internal business shifts with Kojima's departure from the company. So yeah, it was just a shift. It was just like people, the companies just shifted.
Yeah.
And
I thought maybe there was like some spooky lore or something like that.
No, I wish there was. And I'm trying to remember who was the
game was haunted.
Yeah, Hideo Kojima was the person like putting it together, and putting it together, creating it, producing it. And they just parted ways, and it just died in obscurity, which is really sad.
Yeah.
But if you can find, if you feel like, if you're just sitting around and you're looking for something to watch, find a PT, like a no commentary PT playthrough. Mm-hmm. It's very, very cool, very creepy, very spooky.
Yeah, I should probably be able to find that on YouTube, right?
Yeah.
It's Silent Hill PT, no commentary playthrough. Yeah, because I want to check it out.
I mean, you can also listen to it with commentary, but it's, people.
It's kind of fun just to like watch it unfold. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna check out these games. I'm gonna check out that playthrough. I'm gonna check out Dredge. Dredge sounds really cool.
Yes.
Murder House, so I can play as you.
Yeah, baby.
Check it out. That sounds cool.
Emma. Yeah. Yeah. That's all I've got. So
I think that might be it. I don't. I've spoken what I needed to of.
I have as well.
Video games. Yeah, of all my.
I think we did a great job having just.
We did it. We nailed it.
We sure did.
We nailed. Yeah.
Send me to Cannes. Thanks so much to everybody for listening. And if you see me live, come check me out and hang out. And it's gonna be nobody. I really do like.
When are you gonna do it?
I'm gonna do it tonight, and then I'm gonna try to go live like after work, like a couple days a week, just for an hour or so.
Okay, I'm gonna try to log on and watch you tonight. Later on tonight, yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna try it.
Because I'm just gonna go over to my friend's place and watch their dog and cat while they're away. So
Okay, that's fun.
yeah,
I was always the go-to pet sitter, man. Just like other
That's how I
people
am.
living their lives while I'm just like, it's fine.
yeah. Everybody always calls me to come and watch. They're like, yeah, will you watch our? They're like, you're good with animals, and I was like, you got it. Let's do it.
Let's go.
Go live your life. I'll stay here. Yeah.
All right, thanks everybody. Good night. Bye.
Good night.